Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to the crown jewel of Pro Wrestling Podcast. It is That Wrestling Podcast. As you can see, Kevin is, well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see Kevin's not here. If you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, Kevin is not here, but Brian is back from his vacation. How was your week? How was your week off?
Hey, kids.
You're
the youngest. Who do you call a kid?
Oh, no, vacation was great, guys. We spent a week down in Palm Beach, Florida. Beautiful weather, right on the beach. Great times, a lot of sun. Really, the only downside, and we kind of stayed off the texting for the week, which I appreciated.
We didn't bother you. We had to start a new group.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah. Understandable. I appreciate it. But was just the drama getting down there. First flight got delayed, which made us miss our connection, which meant we had to go try to do standby, which the first one didn't work and the second one did. And basically we lost a half a day of vacation. We would have landed at 12:30 on that Saturday. We didn't get into like after 10 at night. So that was the only real downer. It was rough. Yeah. The rental car was garbage. It's a whole mess of it all. But once we got our boots on the ground, we were good.
And with two small kids, that's gotta be hard.
Yeah. Props to the Delta Sky Club. They're not a sponsor of the show, maybe someday, but we did go in there, and it's all you can eat, it's all you can drink. Well, not a bad deal there. There's couches. It's just a better thing at that, where in the Atlanta airport, we were thinking, because we got there about 10:30 in the morning. The flight we were guaranteed to be on was 10:30 at night. Okay. So it was like, if we don't get on any of these standby flights, what are we going to do? So we got this Delta Sky Club. I texted you guys the whole story. I was sitting next to Dikembe Mutombo, Mount Mutombo in the flesh.
No
Cookie
Monster. It didn't happen.
Right. Yeah, he was with a lady friend, so I did not want to disturb Mount Mutombo. But yeah, thankfully we got on the second standby flight, which I think was at like 4:30. So it was like manageable. But good to be back. Missed you guys last week. Looking forward to talking some wrestling.
Why does it seem like every Delta standby connecting flight is in Atlanta?
Is that their corporate headquarters?
Yeah.
No matter where I go, it's like, okay, we're going to go to Atlanta. Even if you're going from like Ohio to Minnesota, we're going to stop in Atlanta for a couple hours, and then we're going to make it there.
Yeah.
I think Southwest is in Dallas. So like every Southwest flight from East to West Coast, you usually stop in Dallas for an hour or two. So, I mean, I guess it's just based off of whatever the corporate or the hub is. So
completely.
This is not that airport podcast. This is That Wrestling Podcast, where shirts are mandatory, wrestling shirts, that is. And now it's time for What Are You Wearing?
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
Let's find out what we are wearing. I pulled something out of storage today. It's the If Cena Wins, We Complain Online t-shirt.
I love it.
I don't even remember buying this, but I got it and I'm wearing it. And if you are listening to the podcast, wait until Wednesday for the video, because you'll love the shirt. You will definitely love the shirt. Brian, you're back. What do you got this week?
That looks like that's an official WWE shop.
It
shirt,
is,
right?
That's
amazing.
It's got the scratch logo and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
How cool. How cool that they put that out.
They knew what they were doing.
It's all about the money, Vin, man. I'm wearing a shirt, Crown Royal that we'll talk about was such a storyline for Brock and Roman of what is Paul Heyman going to do? Never has a manager been such a focus. So I wore my only manager shirt, the late, great Bobby the Brain Heenan.
And Joe.
First of all, I like to say that shirts are mandatory, period, on this show. It doesn't matter what, like you said, shirts are not mandatory. Yes, they are.
When I said that's why I clarified wrestling shirts.
Right. Thankfully, we are mandatory shirts. There's no skins edition of That Wrestling Podcast. And I am wearing one of the WWE rookie shirts, the Ringmaster, with Austin holding the $1 million belt.
Very cool. Very
Beautiful.
cool. I have that one in storage as well. So
very comfortable. I just got it. It shockingly came only 1 day late via the X of the Fed.
We've talked about your issues with
Yes.
FedEx, your rivalry in recent weeks, and glad to see that it came. My shirts from the $5 sale have not come, but I live a lot further away from Connecticut than you do. So hopefully I'll have mine by tomorrow or Saturday. So last week, the big story going into the weekend was AEW counter programming what WWE was doing. Of course, because of the Major League Baseball playoffs, SmackDown had to go to FS1. WWE thought they would throw a half hour of extra uninterrupted half hour, no commercials, which was underwritten by somebody. They're not just doing that out of the there had to be some money exchanged for that. So then AEW, they threw on a 1 hour buy-in on their YouTube channel. And as I was watching Friday night, it dawned on me, wait a minute, AEW is doing the exact same thing. They're copying what WWE did. They threw in an extra hour. They threw in commercial free. And in the week that has passed, there's been a lot of conversation online about this. And Brian, you, I feel, are on the same page as me regarding the Eric Bischoff video.
Yeah. Eric came out on his podcast and basically called out Tony Khan for his statements of going head to head and this is a war and all of the just little shots that he takes at WWE. I completely agree. I just, as a fan of all wrestling, I don't want to hear the jabs back and forth from the head of the company. It's fine if, the wrestlers, they do their digs and that's fine. You can get a good laugh out of that. But I'm sorry, when it comes to that, it just seems amateurish to me. And then, of course, the ratings come out. And, you guys, if you guys see it online, because I see it online, it's all about the demo, right? The demo, all so about dumb. The demo. And I'm sorry, dumb. Listen, I'm not in the advertising world, and people can plant their flag on whatever they want. But I think it's a little funny when I saw like the actual rating of the half an hour that they crossed over. Like SmackDown had, I think, close to 300,000 more viewers. And it's not even on the channel they're regularly on. Exactly. I'm sorry. Like Tony Khan, like
I've been saying this for weeks now.
It's nonsense.
I've been saying this for weeks. It's not a war. It's never been a war. It's just a money mark trying to pretend to be a promoter.
Yeah.
And, from last week, the Suzuki versus Danielson match was unbelievable for YouTube. It was an unbelievable match to be on YouTube and for free. But that's all I remember from last week's AEW. Joe?
I agree.
Did you watch yeah?
Yes, I watched but the thing is, I didn't watch it live. I watched it the next day because I'm like, well, it's on YouTube, so I can watch it whenever I want. And the whole demo thing, they're saying like the 18 to
49
is a key demo, right? Well, the thing is, most people in that, we're in that demo. Hey, we still are. We're going to watch it later. We don't have to watch it live. This isn't the dawning of the Attitude Era when there was no DVR and there wasn't anything you could watch on YouTube. So I watched it the next day, and yes, it was an amazing match. I loved it. But the problem is, I don't remember anything from Rampage. Nothing. I remember a little bit from SmackDown. It's been that long. I remember the Becky Sasha match. Awesome. I remember Edge's promo. I remember Seth's promo, and I remember Brock having a personality on his own.
I love it. And Finn and Sammy was a great match.
Finn and Sammy. Thank you I actually forgot about Finn and Sammy. And now that you mentioned it, I'm like, that was so good.
all those things that you said are things that were memorable from SmackDown. And, you know, if it was on Fox, it shouldn't even be a conversation now. The only people that should care about ratings and numbers are the talent, the promotions, and the networks. Those are the only
sponsors.
People and sponsors too. But like, I hate when people on Twitter are talking about target demos and ratings. Shut the fuck up. You don't know anything about advertising and sales and shit like that. So
yeah, I'll disagree with you on that. The point of like, I as a fan, I care in the sense that if you want your show to be on the air, it needs to get good ratings. You know, Jay, back in the day, me and you loved V. Why isn't V on the? Why isn't V on the
I
air
watched
anymore?
it too. You know,
Joe. Yes, yeah. No, that's why
we were the only
air.
three people.
We were the only
three.
So in that
ended on
sense,
a cliffhanger.
And I know the
such a
promotions.
cliffhanger. All those fucking ships coming to Earth. Oh, so many of them.
The bad guy won. End of series.
And I know people at ABC, and I've told them, hey, bring back V. Literally, ABC reps were at my house for a Christmas party a few years ago. And I said, hey, do you remember that show V? And they were like, no, what's that? I'm like, well, it was
you weren't there.
Exactly. But
yeah.
no.
So listen, and that there's a line to be drawn. Like, I care about it in that sense of I want the show to be good. And if ratings go down, I know that Vince or Tony Khan is going to try to make a better show to get more ratings. So in that sense, I care. Now, do I really care about like who wins the demo in this quarter hour? No. So any of those fans who, does that, the Twitter tweets about, this, I mean, I could care a damn less second about that.
I mean, I think it all boils down to one thing for me. What I want to see good matches. That's it. I don't care about all the individual quarter hours and and commercial free. I don't care. But back to the Danielson versus Suzuki match, Joe. I'm guessing, Brian, you didn't watch it?
Did not. Sorry.
You should. I know I pestered you for about 6 months on the Walter Dragunov match, the first one. This is on that level.
All right.
This is on that level. So watch it before next week. Some stats on the match. There were only 3 bumps and 1 near fall in 20 minutes. Let that sit in. No 2 counts. No like ridiculous bumps or backflips and flippy shit. It was a brutal match. If you look at Brian's chest, I mean, it's bright red. It was awesome. And then one other stat.
It was like Greatest Royal Rumble red and purple. And it was like a rainbow of bruises.
And then, what made the match for me, it was the body language and the facial expressions. I mean, that made the match. So if you have not seen it, go to YouTube, AEW, and check that out because it is awesome. 20 minutes. It really, really was awesome. The rating stuff. I mean, Joe, you've kind of poked the bear a little bit at me on Twitter when I've commented about people, and you're the one that responds about ratings and shit like that. So I thought you'd be more combative.
I'm messing with you. That's basically my thing. So I couldn't care less about ratings. It's not the 90s anymore. That's what people got to really understand. And one last thing about Tony Khan and him saying that Eric Bischoff's being hypocritical. Bischoff is trying to give wisdom to his faults. Right. Bischoff lost. He had the same mindset. He's trying to basically be the mentor here, saying like, let it go. It's not going to work. But Tony Khan, like you said, Jason, is a money mark and is just going to basically play this character now. So I think he's a character now. And
he wasn't supposed to be.
He wasn't supposed to be. What are the 2 adjectives?
New and fresh. Fresh.
He's new. Bischoff.
How long until Tony Khan is a regular character on AEW?
How long until Tony Khan joins the elite, as in Bischoff did the NWO?
Now we're talking.
With a leather jacket and kissing Kenny Omega on the forehead.
Wow.
I can see it.
I can see it.
The first episode on TBS. Was that in January 5th, I think.
Yep, January.
So Yeah. Last Friday though, like I said, I watched them both, and like I said, we talked about it. There wasn't much memorable. They've been doing the CM Punk Friday Night Classics. Matt Sydal and CM Punk, come on. I think it's time to start giving a little better quality CM Punk match. And there was no Dynamite on Wednesday. It was on Saturday, and that's how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. And the Chris Jericho cruise set sail today. So hopefully, I don't know if it'll be this week, but I bet next week's broadcasts are from the Jericho cruise, which I was there last year, and it was awesome to be there. And I went back today and was looking at some of the videos from it. So if they do it when they're docked in the Bahamas, or if they do it when they're in Miami, I mean, it'll be a great viewing experience. And as someone that likes AEW but is annoyed by a lot of the shit they've been doing as of late, I am looking forward to the Jericho cruise episodes. But not everybody on the roster is on the boat. CM Punk's not on the boat, so I guess this will be our 2-week CM Punk break, and then when he comes back, it'll first be, hey, did you miss me from being on every week, every show, commentary, jumping into the crowd?
I know Kevin's not here to defend it because he's all about it. That's how he's been saying it. But could you imagine if somebody told you after 7 years CM Punk would be returning, and like in his first 4 matches are guys named Daniel Garcia, Will Hobbs, Matt Sydal, the former Evan Bourne. Listen, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. Give me a story. Not every match has to be like main event level Kenny Omega type, but I don't know. It hasn't grabbed me like I would have thought if you would have told me CM Punk's coming back and coming to AEW.
Joe,
you guys agree?
Yeah. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah. Joe, anybody on the roster you can think of that isn't the lower level, but a mid-level match with CM Punk? Because I have 2 that I'm thinking, but go ahead if you have any.
I would like to see CM Punk versus, like, even just have a partner and go against the Young Bucks. I would like to see CM Punk go against Christian Cage. I would like to see CM Punk go against like Brian Cage. Anybody like that. But Brian, you hit the nail on the head there. He's just facing off against, okay, we'll just see what sticks now. And you're treating him like a big deal, but you're feeding him the Goldberg Ryback
it's funny. Didn't we do that 5 count of like 5 unlikely? Count, yes. Like they're actually living that 5 count.
So they're listening
all
too.
These random dudes. Like it's amazing to me. This was supposed to be unexpected opponents, and
I'd like to see him face Jungle Boy. Why not?
Sure.
Jungle Boy would be good. Luchasaurus would be fun.
I'm thinking Eddie Kingston myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
like a name, but not necessarily the top name. That's right. The sweet spot.
Bobby Fish.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Let's talk Bobby Fish for a minute. He's been on for 2 weeks and has looked awesome.
He was the leader of the Undisputed Era.
That is true. He was the leader. But what the fuck how much did they water him down in NXT? Oh, Lee Moriarty is a Pittsburgh indie guy that just got signed by AEW. And we talked about him last week with Doc. And then Bryan Danielson. I mean, Bobby Fish looks like a fucking star. It's too bad he's like 5'8" and he could be in the Pinnacle. But Bobby Fish has been awesome in the last 2 weeks. But my CM Punk matches I would like to see, like I said, Luchasaurus would be one. And then I think for Full Gear, they need to start pushing him towards an MJF, a Moxley.
Yes.
Fun, good time CM Punk is cool. Happy to be here. Can't wait to work with the young guys. But I need the flip. I need the switch flipped. I need heel CM Punk. Or this is going to go really, it's just not going to be good as it should be. Bobby Fish.
So good. On the table still.
I know, right?
Yeah, so good, Bobby Fish. I might just shave I might get that little twirly mustache and work that into, get my little thing going there to be like Bobby Fish. I might buy the Bobby Fish shirt now. Brian, when you were gone, there was a $5 sale on WWE. We all bought like 5 or 6 shirts. So,
oh my,
we actually recorded about it last week during the "What Are You Wearing" segment, and then editors were like, "No, nobody cares that you bought 5 or 6 shirts each," so it had to get removed. But yeah, you'll be seeing those shirts in the next couple weeks, Joe.
I'm wearing one right now.
Yeah. So I really didn't feel like there was much from Raw or NXT this week. Do you guys have anything before we move on to the Crown Royal experience?
No. Yeah, I think was one thing I was going to mention. No, I mean this was the final. Okay, now we're getting to get to the new roster, so I think it's time to move on.
One thing I'd like to mention of NXT, because it was mentioned last week when they said Kyle O'Reilly was going to be like the Shawn, and he was going to.
Oh, I said that. Yeah,
I think we've proven that Kyle O'Reilly, after this week in the woods, Kyle O'Reilly is no Shawn Michaels. He has no charisma whatsoever.
Okay, well, it was just something I was thinking about.
I know, but I don't see.
At least I'm bringing ideas to the show, Joe. Anyway. Crown Jewel was this afternoon, or well, depending on when you're listening to this, we record on Thursday, so it was earlier today. And I gotta say, I had it on at my desk at work, and nobody from my work listening to this, so I can say that shit. It was good. I mean, it was 4 hours, but man, it was a good watch. Brian, I know you had it on. Joe, you're educating today's youth, so I guess you didn't get to see any of it.
I came back when I got home. I watched 2 matches because I knew they were shorter, but they were going to be important. So I can mention those.
Joe, you couldn't throw in a foreign cultures lesson in today's lesson plan?
No, I couldn't. Let's learn about the royal family. Here's Finn Balor versus Xavier Woods. Couldn't do that either. It wouldn't work.
Well,
that's funny.
Good try.
So, Joe, you watched the main event?
I watched the main event.
We'll start there.
Okay.
We'll start at the main event and then kind of work our way down. And then we'll close with the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown. I really thought it was a good match. And last week we talked about what was Heyman's involvement. Who did he throw the belt to? We'll find out tonight on SmackDown if you're listening on Friday. But what did you think of the main event, Joe?
Shockingly, I thought it was the best of the Roman Lesnar matches that they've had and confrontations. Okay. It told a story. And that's the thing that's like missing from Lesnar matches. It's usually suplex. I'm going to fall a little bit, but then I'm going to do an F5, end of story. Lesnar wins. This one, you weren't sure. I know last week I said we were going to get Uso-ference to end it, which we did. But I think throwing Heyman in there with throwing the belt in the middle saying, you know what to do with it. I was like, who's he talking to? Tune in next week on Friday Night SmackDown. And I'm like, awesome. This is a feud that I'm actually looking forward to. And I can't believe I'm saying that about Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns.
Well, sadly, the feud's over because he's not supposed to come back until Royal Rumble.
But he could come back to the Royal Rumble. But when he does come back, it'll be like, okay, we're going to pick it back up.
And Uso-ference shirt coming to whatamaneuver.net very soon. Brian, what were your thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, similar to you guys, the match itself was really entertaining. Loved Roman doing like the dive over the top. It's like,
okay, real quick about that. Normally when he does that, he jumps towards the ramp.
Yes.
This one, he jumped towards the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a different look.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that is not the normal move.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, love the whole Paul Heyman involvement part has been so well done, but I am getting a little tired of Uso-ference.
What?
It happened. Yeah,
I am too.
It happened with it seemed like with all the KO matches of that feud. It happened with this match with the Demon where they got involved. It happened again at Crown Royal. So, I've played out on that a little bit, but as far as them two delivering and where it goes from here, I'm in. I'm all in.
Yeah, it's good. I'm curious to see what is going to happen on Friday. I actually thought maybe Brock would have won today and then lost it on SmackDown tomorrow or tonight, depending when you're listening to this.
I was the only one to pick Roman last week. You guys were all set that Lesnar was going to win. So that's why I wanted to watch too. I wanted to see if it was as clean as I read. And it wasn't as clean as I read. They're like, Brock loses clean in the ring. I'm like, no, there was Usoference.
Right.
Yeah. So it was still great though. It shows that WWE can do good stuff. I guess it's just, when it's someone else's money, that's the only way they can do it.
And camels too.
Yeah. So, like I said, I had this on at my desk, and I had to step away from my desk for like 5 minutes, and I come back, and Matt Riddle's on a fucking camel. Did they do any kind of setup or story for that? Like maybe like a backstage segment before they came out?
I didn't catch it if they did. I was in and out at that point.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. And Joe, I know you didn't see this, but starting it out with Hell in a Cell, Edge and Rollins, man, it was like Hell in a Cell in a TLC in a Falls Count. I mean, it was such a good, violent match. And I hope this means Edge and Rollins are done. They're both going to be on Raw now. I'm ready for this shit to go away for a while.
They really were playing that up. I didn't see the whole match yet, but they did that little 2-minute highlight package before Brock and Roman, and they were like, completing the trilogy. Edge got the win, so got to go back and see it. But I think that's where it's headed to.
It was really good, and of course, the biggest pop was Mansoor maintaining his crown jewel undefeated streak, keeping it intact. And then somebody came to help him that nobody in America, in the United States, knew who that guy was. There is nobody that can say they knew who he was when he took the scarf off. And then in a lighter note, Goldberg did not kill Bobby Lashley. For weeks he was talking about he's going to kill Lashley. He's going to kill Lashley. Didn't happen. Another good match. Goldberg avenged what happened to his son at SummerSlam. I really thought, and I think we talked about it last week, Joe, that we thought maybe the kid was going to be involved in some capacity, but I'm glad he didn't. And then the match that I really was hoping would be the main event was the SmackDown title, the women's triple threat match. I really thought that could have been the main event. Joe, is that the other match you saw?
No, the other match I saw was Lashley Goldberg.
Well, that wasn't a say anything when I
because you were talking about it. I don't want. I watched. That was the one I watched, and it was Goldberg got his win back. He didn't need it, but we knew it was going to happen, and it was longer than I expected. But it was better than the SummerSlam match.
And the spin, I thought the finish was really good.
Yeah,
the spear off the ramp, like it looked great.
Off the side of the ramp, like that was what was cool because they don't normally do that. The women's triple threat. I've been a big advocate, promoter of the women's matches, and this one did not disappoint. I really thought Sasha would win because she was going to SmackDown, but I think we're one step closer to getting what I really want. Charlotte, Becky, Survivor Series to unify the women's title. Brian, what'd you think of the match?
I'm with you too. Yeah, it was so good. All of them shine so well. Sasha is so smooth. Bianca with all of her parts that were showing off the strength, like the one arm
press slam. So good.
That was insane. There's a couple other ones where you're just like, oh my God, you're incredible. And Becky's so great. I mean, she's come back from having the baby and she looks just as good as I can remember. Also good. The one thing, and since you watched this, Jay, and Joe, you haven't yet. So since it was triple threat, and I get that it means like no disqualification, but Becky winning with the hand on the rope and the commentary going, that's legal. Really? Am I getting confused here? I never thought that was the case.
I've never seen that used in a match where there was no disqualification. So, I mean, if it's something new, fuck yeah, I loved it. I hope it doesn't become oversaturated, and that's the move every time in a no disqualification match. But yeah, I think the the Bianca one-arm press slam. I literally yelled at my desk. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. So Joe, she had Sasha up with both hands and then just put one down and then dumped her. So it was a pretty cool spot that I had never had seen before. And then there was rumors The Undertaker was at the Pitbull concert in Saudi Arabia the night before. I thought maybe we'd get an Undertaker sighting, but we didn't, and we're glad for that. At least I am. But the Queen's Crown Tournament Finals, Doudrop and Zelina Vega. And I had heard it was going to be Doudrop over the weekend from a very reliable source, and I'm glad that my source was wrong. So maybe not as reliable as I thought. Zelina Vega is she's the Queen's Crown winner. And, you know, what's funny, she had been on such a losing streak for so long. Now she has something. And
has 3 wins since coming back, and they were all for this tournament.
Really? Is that true?
That's true. Check stats and information. She has 3 wins. Wow. Every single one of them was from this tournament. Before that, she's lost every match, even house shows.
I didn't know that. That's cool. But at least now she can be just super over the top obnoxious, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And then
she's like, I think she can do basically what Alexa Bliss was doing. And I think there's comparisons because they're both kind of smaller, right? Compared to a lot of the other women, but she's amazing on the mic. She's so charismatic. And so I feel like that was a big plus for Alexa Bliss for a long time. And I'm thinking hopefully Zelina kind of can fit into that mold, if you will.
And do you think that this is a make good for her not being able to wrestle at the Garden?
It's tough to say. That's a good call, though.
If it is, then they did the right thing by giving her this title and giving her something for not letting her have a match at the Garden with her history.
I'll buy that, but Jay, tell your reliable source that thank God Doudrop didn't win. I want to shout out Peter Rosenberg on GP. He mentioned, he's like, let's be real. Her name's Doudrop. Why the hell is it Doudrop? What is this? And I'm just like, I can't take anything seriously with your name being Doudrop. And so I was like, salute.
I listened to that too, and they were right. Yeah. If her name was Piper Niven, we'd be looking at her completely different. But
Bingo.
Whatever, it is what it is. I like her. I think she's a fun character. I'm glad she didn't win. But it could have been fun, I think, if she did win. But I guess that what I see as Doudrop as the queen would be the Nikki ASH role for like kids and But this one, I think they definitely made the right choice with Zelina. And then the King of the Ring, Finn Balor loses to the video game guy. If Woods made this run, and it wasn't obvious he was going to win, I think it would have been better. You guys know I like surprises. He'd been talking about this, forever, that he wanted to be King of the Ring, which made it obvious he was going to win, especially against another good guy. So thoughts on the Woods Balor King of the Ring final, Brian?
The boyhood dream has come true. Shout out to Xavier Woods. Listen, I was more hoping that he lost because I felt that there was an easy story to tell afterward of him being just devastated, and whether that means he gets into being nefarious and wants to have a big feud with Finn where he's the heel, or who knows. There's a lot of different directions that I thought were easy to take. So I'm not hating on it, because if you guys go to the WWE socials, he did an interview afterward backstage. He's crying. It's just like I said when we first talked about this a couple weeks ago, it's just so still funny to me that for whatever reason, this guy has gravitated toward, I needed to be King of the Ring. That's all he wanted to do, when no one else on the planet has ever wanted that. So I'm happy for him. I'm hoping they have some cool stories to come from this. I would think with the way the New Day and Xavier are positioned on the card and on the broadcast, that they will. But in my head, I was thinking the easier path was him losing, being devastated, and going from there.
Thoughts, Joe, on Woods winning the King of the Ring?
I thought he was going to lose to Jinder Monday night.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
I thought that was going to be the story where he lost, and it would have been Jinder versus Finn, with Finn winning and Woods going insane because he was this close to his boyhood dream, which I thought it was funny that they said that. But the second he beat Jinder, I'm like, all right, Finn doesn't need it. He really doesn't. He shouldn't even been in the tournament, to be honest with you.
I think Finn needs it for the main roster, because I think it's going to fall into the same trap they did with him before. They're going to run out of things for him to do. And what, is he going to go back to NXT again? NXT
No,
UK?
I think they need to. I think he needs to be healed because there's too many. I think there's too many faces on Raw now.
Yeah,
before there were too many heels, but now I think there's too many faces, and like even the champ is a face. So how is Finn going to face off against Big E? He's not going to. So I think Finn needs to go heel.
Drew is a face, and he just was in a program with Big E.
That's true, but we knew he was leaving, so that was the thing. We knew he wasn't going to beat Big E. So
I would like to see Woods be the reason that the New Day break up. His head swells. He just thinks he's better than everybody. Starts bossing Kofi around. I'm hoping
there was already a little, it could mean absolutely nothing, but when the camera panned in on him, when he's wearing the crown and trying to put the cape on, he couldn't put it on, by the way. He couldn't figure out.
Why couldn't they have a ceremony?
Right. Thank you.
Vega couldn't get her robe on.
Yeah.
Woods couldn't get his robe on. Why the fuck couldn't they take 2 minutes to have an official crowning?
I wanted the Austin 316 promo after, and maybe they'll save that for Monday and Friday, maybe. But he did, he's just shouting to the camera. And he goes like, because I am king, everybody's got to do what I say. Like, cameraman, if I tell you to cut it off, cut it off.
Yes.
And Michael Cole, actually, presumably, the cameraman's name is Marty. And Michael Cole said, like, Marty better watch out or something to that effect. So maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's the direction you're thinking, Jay.
I hope so.
I do too.
And because of the tournament finals, this week's 5 count is all about our 5 favorite Kings of the Ring.
That Wrestling Podcast presents the 5 count.
We took a week off last week to
go to your doctor's appointment. Get it? Doctor's appointment? Because the guy who filled in for me, his name was Doc.
And I don't know if you guys noticed my clever wording on the labeling. We had a doc from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The
doctor will see you now.
Yeah. So it is the 5 count. We rank our top 5 of a certain subject, and this week it is the top 5 favorite Kings of the Ring. Joe, we'll let you go first.
All right, my number 5, King of the Ring. He really went with it and had his own queen. We're talking about the Macho King, Randy Savage. And the funny thing about that is he won the King of the Ring in 87, but really wasn't the Macho King until after his feud with Hogan, which was 2 years later. But I'm going with it. Macho King, if there's any excuse for me to put Macho Man on a 5 count, like Kevin puts MJF on one. So for Kevin, his favorite King of the Ring, number 1, MJF.
That's right.
Number 4, I think the man who really made the King of the Ring important, King Harley Race. The year before, I know I'm going old school on this one. That's usually Jason's job, but I made him 5 and 4. Number 3, career resurgence, King Booker. Now I know the WWE Fox had the top 10 King of the Rings of all time, and they made King Booker number 1. I disagreed with that, but he's definitely a top 5, and I have him at 3 because it really made him a huge main eventer for SmackDown when he was the king. Number 2, man, did this guy love being King of the Ring. The King of Hearts, Owen Hart, is my number 2. He was, his speech, his ceremony, everything about it. I did it. It's like Owen Hart was the type of wrestler who was excited about being the King of the Ring and winning a Slammy Award. He was so good, two-time Slammy Award winner. He even had it on his tights. But he was so underrated at the time and so good in the ring. And number 1, only reason I put him on here was because he's the only one who won 2, and that's Bret the Hitman Hart. You know, that wrestling podcast regular,
a friend of the show. Yeah,
a friend of the show.
And Kevin would have probably put him on his list too at one.
No, MJF was number 1 for Kevin. But no, Bret the Hitman Hart, only 2-time. He was number 3 on Fox's list. I put him number 1 because he won 2.
All right, good list, Joe. I'll go next, and I went number 5, Owen Hart, for the same reasons. A guy that really he ran with it, and it was pretty awesome. And I don't even think he wore the crown. Like he just went with the name. You know, I don't remember him wearing the crown very often, if at all. Number 4, because of the absurdness. That's even a word, Joe. You're the teacher. Mabel. King Mabel.
I thought about him. Yeah.
Just ridiculous, but awesome. Ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah.
Which Xavier Woods mentioned on Raw. I want to be like King Mabel and King Shamrock.
I must have missed that one. Number 3, Wade Barrett. I thought he was a great king. You know, and that was I think that was right. That was before Bad News Barrett. I wish he was still more than business casual announcer on NXT these days. Number 2, Harley Race. I felt that he should have been number 1 on Fox, but you know, whatever. And he's not number 1 on my list because the number 1 person I think ran with the King of the Ring win and just turned it up to another level. Baron Corbin. I love the King Corbin character.
Wow.
It was awesome. And, you know, that tournament, I thought maybe Ricochet would have won that year, but he didn't. But, yeah, King Corbin is my number 1 favorite King of the Ring. So, Brian, what do you got?
Great list, both of you guys. Corbin was my number 5 until today, and this is based on potential. But my number 5 is going to be Xavier Woods.
Oh, come on,
guys! Again, for all we've said,
to be determined.
Again, based on potential, but the guy's literally
at least
crying. So I'm based on potential. I think he's going to solidify his spot, no problem. But yeah, I'm liking. I'm liking Xavier. I think he's going to do just fine with it. My number 4, get my notes here. Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle won, and I don't remember. So it's interesting. You know, I looked at the winners, and there's some winners who, like Stone Cold and Brock, who they won King of the Ring, but they didn't really do the King gimmick, right? They just went off about their day. Kurt, I think, had a little bit of that, and I could just picture him coming down the ring with the elongated, over-exaggerated crown, because he was like under that goofy character that he was at the time of just, you know, how he was of just being this guy who didn't understand why he got booed and everything else, being the hero. So he's my number 4. My number 3, Owen Hart, for the reasons you guys said. You know, this was something for him to step up to Bret Hart, you know, to say, look, brother, I've won King of the Ring too, just like you. So perfectly played, and he was so good with it. The other 2, both have been said. Harley Race is number 2. He's the one for me that the significance of being King of the Ring when I was a kid, he made it feel really important. That, like, I remember him versus Hogan. I'm like, how is Hogan going to beat the King? There's a great shot. You know, he fought Junkyard Dog at Mania 3, and he's coming down the ring, and he stops, and you'll see it in a lot of the video packages, and he just unveils the robe, and he just looks magnificent. So that's my number 2. My number 1 is the Macho Man. I'm sorry. The Macho King was so great. And as great as always Macho Man was, where you think being the Macho King would be a step down, it really wasn't. He did so good. Him and Sherry were a fantastic team. I still remember being so pissed off that he used the scepter to smash the Ultimate Warrior's head at that Royal Rumble, and Sergeant Slaughter beat the Warrior for the belt. And so I was so glad when the Warrior beat him at Mania 7 to retire the Macho Man, because he was such a dick as the King. So that's my number one, man. Rest in peace, Macho King.
Great 5 counts all around.
Who made your 5 count? Let us know on social media using the hashtag TWP5count.
All right, so that is about it for this week. Brian, are the kids back from bye week, or are they taking 2 this week?
Yeah,
they're gonna take 2 bye weeks.
Take 2 bye weeks. Yeah, when you're 5 years old, everything's on the table. But no, they're back in business. They got 3 games. They've got let's see, we got Chiefs and Titans. We have I'll pull up the other ones, but we always do the 3 games every Sunday. And if you guys remember from Kevin's breakdown of the previous week, the kids are tied. So we are neck and neck as we head into the official week 7 of the NFL picks. But yeah, let me see if I can pull them up here real quick. We've got, what did I say? Chiefs and Titans. And then I believe it's 49ers and 49ers and the Colts, and then it's the Saints and Seattle. So we got our 3 games. Check them out Saturday morning on our socials to get your picks. And remember, friends, 1-800-GAMBLER for all of your confidential gambling help.
Yeah, if you're taking 5-year-olds picks, you may have a problem.
If you're betting Niners Colts, you may have a problem.
That's at our socials on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at thatwrestlepod. Don't forget, you can watch all the videos on YouTube from the picks, as well as past episodes, show clips, and more. And you can pick up That Wrestling Podcast merchandise at our whatamaneuver.net store. Just search That Wrestling Podcast. Brian, welcome back. Joe, you're always here. And we'll talk to you next week on That Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1,